Hi there, everyone. Thank you for tuning in for Today with Lindy. And today you're going to have to decide what you want your life to look like. And today you make a choice. Are you going to build your life or are you going to tear it down? Okay. So, seems like a no-brainer, right? We want to build. So, do you feel stuck? I felt stuck for a long time. Do you feel like there's no hope? Um, do you feel like you're the only one willing to make changes and no one around you is? These are all things that can make you feel helpless to your situation and to have changes that you want to have. Okay, this is what I had to learn. And I have a couple of really powerful lessons that I learned. So one of them is, I was definitely stuck. I was not building a successful life at all in any way. And, I was living in poverty. Had no career. I had no goals. I had an unhappy marriage. Just it wasn't good. There was not really anything good other than that I had my children who I loved dearly. But even then, there's a lot of things looking back that I would have done different in my parenting, but we all probably say that. Anyway, so how do you build your life? How do you build a good life? Okay? This is what I learned. So one day I'm walking around the tennis court, and I was reminded, I was reflecting, I did a lot of my inner reflecting while on my walks around the park. And I was passing the tennis court. And around the tennis court were these really high fences to get the ball for if you hit the ball too hard or whatever. And as I was looking at the tennis court, I was reminded, just a thought in my own heart, I was reminded of how my neighbor had invited me to play tennis one time. And she told me afterward that she wasn't going to play tennis with me anymore because I wasn't fun. Because I every time I tried to hit the ball, I would try to kill it, whack that ball. Most of the time, I would hit it so hard it was useless. It would go flying over the fence. It was nothing she could even try to play. It wasn't within the line. But every once in a while, I'd get it in there, and that ball was so powerful she couldn't get it at all. So, as I'm looking at that fence and remembering that scenario, that story, I just knew, okay, call it what you want. I am a spiritual person. I don't deny it. I'm not trying to preach, but, whatever you believe. But these principles will work for anybody, whether you believe what I believe or not, as far as who your God is. Okay? But I'm a Christian. And I just really knew that God was talking to me. And I remembered this tennis match. And I knew he was showing me that my life was like the way I played tennis. That most of my thoughts and words were out of control. I wasn't controlling them. I was letting the world control them. I was letting my circumstances control what I thought about. I was letting my finances and marriage and the way I felt about them decide how I was going to think and how I was going to talk. So I would see them, I would think about them, and I would talk about the negative I was seeing. I'd see the negative, I'd talk about the negative, I'd say the negative. So so I knew that I was being shown that, like the way I played tennis, I was taking in thoughts that hold power, and I was releasing thoughts that hold power, but they weren't useful. They weren't good ones. They weren't benefiting anyone. They weren't anything that anyone else could volley with and have any kind of a positive outcome. And then basically my thoughts and my words were creating and keeping my life not the way I wanted it. So then then I remembered when I used to work on a horse ranch. And at this horse ranch, I learned that the horses would go well, we went to a rodeo, and I remember at this particular rodeo, they were known for their horses not bucking. And these horses were so beautiful, and they were fast, and the guy would get on the bucking bronco, and he'd put his feet up ready to buck, but instead that horse would just whip around that arena so fast. It was such a powerful horse. And I remember asking the people I was with about it. I'm like, what's the story with that horse? Like, what's happening here? And they were laughing. It was like a joke that a good cowboy would know that a horse that was powerful like that, who wouldn't be broken on a ranch, would get sent to the rodeo because they weren't useless to the ranch. And, they're expensive to upkeep. So they would get sent to the rodeo. But then at the rodeo, if they wouldn't buck, they were useless to the rodeo. And at that point, that horse would be sent to, the glue factory, dog food, whatever, but it would be used somehow to benefit someone somewhere. But if the horse had understood how its stubbornness to let that bridle control its mouth, he thought he was being a fighter and no one was going to dominate it, right? But if he understood that he was actually creating an outcome to go to his death early, if he could have understood that, he would have been a useful horse on a ranch, I'm sure. But so the point is, also I was understanding that my thoughts and my mouth, because a bridle in a horse, it controls its tongue, it controls what direction it's steered. And I was steering myself in an out of control way because I was refusing to bridle my thoughts. I was refusing to bridle my words, and my life was being steered wherever the world decided to turn it. I wasn't consciously steering my life in the direction I wanted it to go to. I was just all over the place. And it was creating messes. So if you are feeling like your life isn't the way you want it to be, today, choose to build. Choose to be a builder. Choose to build a good life by taking control of your thoughts and taking control of your mouth. So that means you're going to start feeding your mind with positive, uplifting messages and self-help, self-motivating. There's so many videos like these that you could listen to, and speakers who I love, Ed Milet, Terry Saville Foy, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. There's just so many people you could listen to and start reprogram your mind, start filling it with good uplifting messages and ways of thinking, and start changing the way you talk. And when you do that, you will be building something good. You will build the life you want. So take away from this, what are you seeing in your life right now versus what you want to see? And choose today to change the way you think, change the way you talk, and see the outward changes start happening in your life. Okay, that's it. Now take these words and run with them.